I also think the idea of like grinding and like going super hard it's a little bit overrated as well. Like I definitely think that there are very few individuals that could maintain the grind and hustle for years
Yeah.
on end without getting burnt out. And I think that if you're human, you're going to burn out. And it's just much better to have that mentality of like, oh yeah, you're taking it day by day. You're obviously working hard, but in your head, thinking of it as, oh yeah, I'm working hard, but it's sustainable is much healthier actually than in your head thinking, oh yeah, I'm on that, like grind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just because, yeah, it's all about longevity.
With the overall, projects, like what are you currently responsible for the team right now?
Yeah, so there's a few different things that I'm responsible for right now. One is,
Guys, before we get into the podcast, 91.6% of you guys are not subscribed. So please do hit the subscribe button since it will help get even crazier guests and blow up the channel. So yeah, let's get back into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast from the Gen Z Fastlane. Today we have Kevin here, who, if you might known, is a YouTuber, Cubing Encoded YouTube channel. If you guys know him, make sure to drop him a follow. But yeah, Kevin, take it away.
yeah, hey everyone. So a little bit about my background. I started a YouTube channel when I was 11 years old. Was able to grow it up to 200,000 subscribers, and I went to Berkeley for my undergrad. Went, all the way into, going to tech or consulting, and ended up like landing on tech. So currently, I'm at the Atlassian office here. Just started my job a few weeks ago, and looking forward to chatting with you.
Nice. So, first let's talk about, this whole YouTube channel thing, because everyone will be interested in the YouTube channel, like how you grew to 200,000, etc. So you started YouTube channel at 11, as you said, and you basically made videos of, Rubik's Cube and, vlogs of yourself. So my core question was, how did you manage to continue this passion for 10 years straight and, not burn out?
Yeah, I definitely think when it came to YouTube, the longevity comes from finding different parts of it that I loved. So at first, it was purely just of a passion for Rubik's cubing that got me going, and so I wanted to, get new puzzles. I wanted to, review the newest puzzles and just grow that audience all around the Rubik's cube. Then over time, it became a passion for videography, and so around year 3, 4, 5, that's when I started getting into super hard into, investing into a setup, getting the highest quality camera I could, and being able to, make cool edits, just overall be like a filmmaker.
Mhm.
After that, the passion started stemming more towards the personality side of it. And so I started getting really into building community, letting like my personality be shown, having a sense of humor. And I definitely think that, throughout that entire journey, the passion and what got me going definitely continued to change. But I think that it's necessary for any type of project. I think it's very hard to stay, passionate about the exact same thing for an extremely long amount of time. And I think it's incredibly important for whatever you do, whether it's like a YouTube channel or a business, finding different parts of it that you love. And, it's always going to be a moving target. So trying to find different parts that you love and going super hard on those is definitely the way to go.
Awesome. So going deeper into, the overall YouTube content space, of course, there's so many different YouTube channels posting. So my questions are, how did you come up with the content that you're currently making? Because I feel like it's pretty unique, especially in the Rubik's Cube space. And also, what do you think are the core differentiations from yourself and, other Rubik's Cube channels?
Yeah, so I think when it came to choosing out your channel topic, it just has to be what truly makes you passionate, right? So if it was anything else, honestly, at that time, I would not have been able to do videos on it just because it was stemmed out of a passion for the Rubik's Cube that I wanted to make videos. It wasn't anything else. So I think when coming up with your channel, topic or theme, it has to be something that really clicks naturally. Now, granted, you don't want to choose something where it has absolutely no audience. In an ideal world, you choose something where there actually is a genuine, demand for it as well. But it also has to be something that you're truly passionate about. And in terms of what I thought differentiated me, I think that at first, it definitely evolved over time. So at first, I really prided myself on the quality of my videos, being able to have, for a 4K setup, being able to have, like the best like studio and best lighting environment. But then it became, kind of showing my personality more. And so I think when I was more in like an edgy teen phase of my life, I wanted to, just be a little more outlandish and just like be a little bit more risky with my personality on my YouTube channel, which is something that a lot of the other cubic YouTubers didn't do at the time. At the time, a lot of cubic YouTubers were very, robotic, very, brand friendly. And I wanted to bring a little bit more personality into it. And so there was a bit of that. And then over time, it became my consistency. And so I went about a year or so of doing daily uploads, which quite honestly like completely killed me. But I think that that's what allowed me to get ahead because I was so consistent to the point that it was so noticeable how much more content I was outputting compared to everyone else.
Nice. So like how I was a YouTube creator before, if you didn't know. I used to run like a gaming channel with like 4K subscribers, not like 200K. I stopped mainly because I felt like with YouTube, there's like AdSense and stuff like that, right? So I felt like my content was tailored more towards, the AdSense, money rather than, my own passion, if you get what I mean. So how do you personally like balance that, like making AdSense and like kind of like not optimizing for the algorithm, if you get what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's an aspect of it where, monetarily it did help. And, especially coming from a low income background, I think that being able to have some type of income coming in from YouTube was very important for me. However, it was always about the core concept at the end of the day. So, what was I passionate about? I was passionate about Rubik's Cubing, and that was always what the focus was. I think a lot of people go into YouTube really focused on the end goal where they want to be able to make this income and they want to grow
Mhm.
this audience, but they don't think about what they're passionate about. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, thinking about the goal first, you're not going to ever, actually achieve that goal because you're not in love with the journey. And I think that for me, it was being in love with the journey was what really helped me kind of get ahead in it. Even if I wasn't making any money, even, throughout high school, I loved video editing so much to the point that I would literally just prefer video editing over, doing nothing, or I would prefer video editing over like playing a video game. Video editing was basically my vision of video games, and so even if I was making no money, I still would want to do it in my free time. And that's what allowed me to grow naturally. And when you grow naturally, you end up growing an audience, and that has really very real business and monetary implications as a result of that. And obviously, there's like the small things that you didn't know here and there, like you want to know how to market your videos out. So
Mhm.
obviously, have your flashy thumbnails with a big face on it, a very excited expression, have like big text, colorful, like very colorful backgrounds, as well as making sure that your videos are over like 8 minutes long. Make sure you put some a good amount of like mid rolls. Try to find sponsorship opportunities. These are things that come over time. However, I think it's really important to focus on like the fundamental, which is really enjoying the content that you're making, and then everything after that comes secondary.
Nice, nice. So at any point of your YouTube career, do you have like some sort of team, or it must be really overwhelming, creating like daily videos with thumbnails and some video editing? Like it takes like, for me personally, it took me like 3 hours at least to, just edit the video, create the thumbnails, and you still have to post it, right? So how is it like for you?
Yeah, I never had any team, so it was always just me basically from start to finish, and it got pretty hellacious just because yeah, during my junior year of high school, that's when I started doing the daily uploads, and so that was
Mhm.
already a very like busy time in terms of like your high school career,
Yeah.
where you had like a lot of AP classes and you had like
Mhm.
volunteering and clubs and everything. But then I was also trying to dedicate like 6 7 hours a day to YouTube so that I could upload daily. And so on the weekends I would work like overtime basically so that I could have videos scheduled out in advance. And basically my entire day was just like wake up, go to school, come back, finish homework, work on a video, sleep, and that's basically all I did every single day for a good few months. And that's kind of how I burnt out. And so the lesson is that like definitely don't go that hard. I think it's obviously good to work hard, but there definitely is a point where like if you're only
Mhm.
thinking about YouTube and you're like burning yourself out so much to the point that it's just not sustainable, that is not going to be productive at all. And so yeah, I definitely think that like I really pushed it as much as I could, and I tried working as hard as possible, but I definitely think that I could have laid it back a little bit and
Mhm.
had more longevity over time.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I think many people also face this, sort of burnout. So it's better to have like periods where you probably like, grind a bit more and then you take a break and then you come back and grind and then you'll probably be recharged and
Exactly.
everything. So with your
Exactly.
overall
And
strategy, like, yep, go on.
oh yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, I also think the idea of like grinding and like going super hard, like hardcore, it's a little bit overrated as well. Like, I definitely think that there is there are very few individuals that could like maintain the grind and hustle for like years
Yeah.
on end without getting burnt out. And I think that if you're human, you are going to burn out. And it's just much better to have that mentality of like, oh yeah, you're taking it day by day. You're obviously working hard, but in your head, thinking of it as, oh yeah, I'm working hard, but it's sustainable is much healthier actually than in your head thinking, oh yeah, I'm on that, like grind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just because, yeah, it's all about longevity, and you would rather be able to look back 5 years later and say, okay, well, maybe there wasn't as much progress, year by year, but then after 5 years, there's a lot of progress, versus look back 1 year and be like, wow, I made so much progress, but then 1 year later, burn out and not be able to make any.
Yeah, makes sense. So for any cubing encoded fans listening to this, what is your overall posting schedule right now, and what do you see yourself pivoting into for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years with this YouTube channel?
Yeah, so when it comes to YouTube, I'm relatively inactive now. Just started a full-time job and everything, and so
Hmm.
I'm kind of transitioning to the next phase of my life. And I think the beautiful thing about YouTube was that it allowed me to get everything that I have now. It allowed me to,
Nice.
and I definitely would love to talk about this as well, where it allowed me to get into college. It allowed me to get, my first few internships, and then eventually translate myself to a full-time job. A lot of the work I do right now in tech is spearheaded and, I guess, enhanced by the fact that I was a YouTuber in my past. And so I think that, yeah, that's definitely the beautiful thing about YouTube, in that you don't have to continue doing it, but it definitely gets me everything that I have now. And that's, kind of like the next phase of my life.
Nice. So jumping in right into this, right? Like, how did YouTube help you get into college, and like, is there a certain boundary that you need in order to be kind of like viewed as a successful YouTuber by these companies?
Yeah, so I think that for the longest time, I was very fixated on getting 100,000 subscribers, because at that point
Mhm.
you're going to be, like verified. You're going to have like a certain play button. I was very fixated and obsessed with that goal. In reality, like there is no like benchmark or like like number that you need to hit
Yeah.
in order for people to suddenly be impressed by your channel. However, I will say, like, general note of thumb, like if you have 50K, like you're seen as pretty big, right? Like if you have like 1K, people see you as more of like a hobbyist, but then if you have 50 to 100K, people see it as a body of work, and that is taken much more seriously, I feel like. When it comes to how it got me a good job, you know like I have more followers than like some big companies have on their entire social media page. And so when they look at it, they're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if you're able to do that all by yourself, then you're surely able to do that for our company
Yeah.
and, build our brand. And just being able to have like that social media expertise is honestly so helpful nowadays. Like I think people, like, for example, like I think people are really glazing certain skills at this point in time. Like people are glazing super hard of like, oh, you need to know how to code like really, really hard. And everyone is like going super crazy about that. But I think that right now social media is like the next skill that is almost equivalent to like knowing how to code, in the sense that a lot of people don't really know how social media works, but social media
Mhm.
is, everywhere. And it's just a great understanding to have, especially because like social media is not going to die anytime soon. It's going to keep on
Yeah.
growing, and people are going to become more and more reliant on it. And so, being able to be on the forefront of it is as helpful as knowing a technical skill.
Yeah, I think you put it in a really, really nice way. It's like social media is like something that humans should resonate with. So an AI really can't replicate this, even though you use many AI tools. They're not going to be able to replicate it as good as another human. So
Yeah.
talking about more like HaaS, and Berkeley, how was your network at HaaS? Like, was it the same? Like, what was there other YouTubers as well? And what was just your overall experience?
Yeah, overall experience at Berkeley. So I'll talk a little bit more about the academic side first, which is that
Mhm.
academically, like I found it to be very manageable as just a business major. Yeah, like I definitely had more than enough time to focus on other things. I think what Berkeley and what Haas in general taught me was that there's going to be a lot of really smart people, but you are definitely able to keep up with them as long as you stay consistent and you stay proactive. I remember as a freshman, talking to a lot of other people, I was like, oh my God, everyone is so smart. And it was very intimidating at first, but knowing that they were in a very similar position to where I was their freshman year, and that I in just 2 3 years can catch up to them, if not complete, like overpass them, was very exciting to me. And I definitely think that one other thing was that was incredibly important was just knowing how to talk to people and ask for advice. I think that
Yeah.
because I had a background of being a YouTuber, I was so used to doing everything myself and figuring out everything out myself.
Mhm.
Whereas there generally are just so many smart people who have such different experiences and are so capable that you just have to ask people for help and ask people for advice. College, like when you're applying for jobs, if you're applying for colleges, just ask other people that have been through the process, and they're going to be able to give you everything that you need. But yeah, honestly, at Haas, like, you meet some of the smartest people in the world. You meet people who go to like top consulting firms, top investment banks, top tech firms. You get a ton of entrepreneurs, people who made their own startup, tons of people who have their own like social media pages as well. It was just really cool, and being able to talk to each one of these people individually really helped me figure out what I want to do for my own career.
Yeah, so like diving deeper into your personal cohort, as you probably know people the best from there who graduated already. What was the overall like distribution between like entrepreneurs and people who want to get into like the professional field with consulting, and also probably like tech people, right?
Yeah, I remember actually one of our classes, the professor asked, okay, out of this class, like, how many of you guys want to start your own company? And around 30% of people raised their hands. And so that's like a good way to, I guess, like gauge what that number
Yeah.
is. I definitely think that, yeah, like there definitely is a good entrepreneurship scene, especially because, we're right in Bay Area, and a ton of like, startup
Makes sense.
founders are in SF, and there's just a great tech scene here in general. And on top of that, Berkeley is a very highly technical skill. And with any startup, you need both the business side, but also the technical side. And so you end up getting a lot of people from Haas who, are friends with some of the most talented coders in the world. And they, team together to make something great happen. That's kind of what you see at Haas.
Nice. So transitioning over to the opportunities that you got at Haas, like how did you manage to do product marketing for San Francisco 49ers, Decathlon, Adobe, like these kind of big recognized companies? Like did Haas have some kind of program where they somehow had like a special access to these companies, like startups? Were they like more recognized compared to other schools?
Yeah, great question. So, one thing that I really enjoy about Berkeley, and it makes it Berkeley very special, honestly, is that there's a huge scene of consulting clubs. So, if for people that don't know, consulting is basically just, let's say that you're a doctor and you have patients coming in, but instead of six patients coming in, you have businesses, and you're like a business doctor, and so you're basically
Yeah.
prescribing them their medicine to help them with their business. That's how I got to explain it to me. There's tons of these clubs that do this, and like there's like 20 or so, and a lot of them work with really big companies. And so basically the way it works is that like you go into Berkeley your freshman year, you apply for these clubs. They're kind of hard to get into. Like some of them have like a 2% acceptance rate, but then once you get in, then you're able to hop on these like big company projects. You work on a group of 6 people. You work with a real company like point of contact who is asking for help, and yeah, it's just like really cool contract work that you're able to do with big companies, and you learn a lot. It's honestly equivalent to doing like an internship every single semester just from doing a consulting project. And I think that was really what boosted my resume as well and boosted my professional skills, so that once I ended up getting my first big boy internship or like my first like big boy job, it was very easy, like just being able to have
Mhm.
that experience all down my belt. So yeah, that's kind of how like I have like big companies on my resume. It's just because of consulting clubs at Berkeley.
Makes sense. So with these consulting clubs, could you break down further on how, like, what's like a day-to-day basis or like week-to-week basis on how you work with these companies? And do you also, like how do you split like the profits? Like, like what's the overall contract terms with these companies? Like, are they like affiliates?
Yes. Yeah. So the way it works is the organization is around 40 people in total. You have 4 project teams, and then you have an executive board. Each project team goes out and sources their own project. And so by sourcing, I mean basically reaching out and emailing a
Yeah.
bunch of people from big companies and asking if there's any, projects or help that they need. Once you email thousands of people, eventually someone gets back to you and says, "Oh yeah, actually, like there's something specifically that we want to work with students, or we have this project that we really need to outsource some good work." And then so they reply. We hop on a couple of meetings, negotiate the terms. Typically, they'll pay us around like $10,000, $20,000
Yeah.
for like a semester long project, and then once that gets executed, yeah, then you just do the project. There's 2 project managers, 6 consultants. Every single week you meet, you do an assignment, you keep on like aggregating and consolidating that research, and then by the end of the semester, then you do it what's called like a final deliverable. And
Hmm.
so you like either meet with a client in person or on Zoom, and then just present all your findings. The client, gives some feedback, and then also like takes the work to their own team so that they can implement it for real like actual work. And in terms of like all the money, the money just goes towards like fun, because it's the club, you're not allowed to actually get paid for it. So you end up just like using all the money towards like yacht parties or like retreats or like food and
Nice.
everything, which is pretty fun.
Do you think for someone who maybe they want to just work on just one specific company, intern one specific, big brand. Is it possible to reach out to, this exact big brand, and how high is the likelihood of them landing like an internship in like San Fran, startup?
Yeah, I would say. Well, so if like let's say that you like are obsessed with like working at like Google, like
Mhm.
Google has like certain like product manager or like product marketing programs, and like those open up. But the thing is, those jobs are really hard to get, and so you're going to end up applying, and like even if you get a referral, you still have a very low chance of getting your resume through. Like I know so many people who have applied for these big companies with referrals, and they still didn't get through. And so it's really just like how good your resume is, how cracked it is, and then also on top of that, like how lucky you are to a degree. Yeah, when it comes to like recruiting, I think it's important not to fall in love with one company just because the chances that you're going to end up getting your dream company is very, very low. I think instead what you should try to go for is understand the type of work that you want. So whether you're trying to go into product management, product marketing, business analyst, consulting, banking, just know what you kind of want vaguely, and then apply for a shit ton of companies basically that go underneath that criteria. And if you apply for like 200 companies, you're bound to get something.
Nice. So just to clarify, the consulting club, like, did you personally get to choose, the projects or the companies that you work with? Like, were you managed, were you able to like see the companies before you applied? Like, how was that structured?
Yeah. So for the consulting clubs, we ended up just like apply like cold outreaching to as many companies as we wanted to. And like for me, like I really, really like sports. And so I just reached out to a bunch of sports companies. And then eventually the 49ers were the ones that were interested in doing a project with us. Other times I wanted to work in something within tech. And then so I just like reached out to a bunch of tech companies, cold emailed, showed us like their little, like our little pitch deck. And then
Mhm.
eventually, Beats by Dre was interested in working with us. And so it is kind of just like you just shoot your shot and then you see
Yeah,
whoever's interested.
nice. So you also get to personally, I guess, express your interest and
Yeah,
outreach to companies that you personally like. Super
exactly. But it
awesome.
also does depend on the club as well.
All right, nice, nice. So could you also break down like what the difference between like product marketing is versus like general marketing? Like, these two terms pretty common, but probably
Yeah, for
good to know as
sure.
well.
So within just general like the industry as well as technology in general, like there is general marketing. So marketing is something that's going to be very all inclusive throughout the entire company, and then product marketing is product specific. So I guess if I were to like let's say like you have a star, right? And each point of the star is like a company's products. Like a marketing person, like a marketing manager, would go towards all the stars, and so every single one of like all five of the stars would be outreached. Whereas when it comes to product marketing, you would end up just focusing really really hard on one part of the star. That's a good way to like explain like I guess understand like the differences between the two.
Nice, nice. So transitioning over to, your current, full-time job, which you're currently sitting at the office at Atlassian. I read about, you guys basically are an enterprise all-in-one tool for, IT professionals, product managers, developers, and founders, for those who don't know. So personally, just in general from, the company side, what do you think are the three most underrated tools that you guys provide?
Underrated, I'd say. So I think one that's pretty underrated is Trello. So Trello is our most like customer facing product, and I definitely think
Nice.
that it's something that I recommend a lot of people that like, for example, if you have like a club in college or even high school, I'd recommend using Trello to like track all your progress. Basically, like you have a bunch of different columns, and then you have like little cards, and then you can like move them in between to like track work, and then you have like an entire page for your team, and everyone can kind of track their work through that. I love Confluence. Confluence isn't really overrated though, or like underrated. Like I feel like it's pretty fairly rated because a lot of people use it. But I love Confluence. It's basically just like Google Docs on steroids. And then Atlassian is also like releasing a lot of like new Atlassian intelligence features, which is basically like just like AI, and that's sick. Like
Nice.
sometimes you just like go across like different pages, and then you see a word that you don't know, and then bam, like Atlassian Intelligence explains it within like the context of the org. Oh my god, it's getting windy out here. But yeah, so it's pretty helpful.
Nice. So with the overall, projects, like what are you currently responsible for the team right now?
Yeah, so Atlassian has there's a few different things that I'm responsible for right now. One is Atlassian's live learning programs. So a lot of times when you're learning how to use a new product, you would want to have videos to
Mhm.
instruct yourself how to use it. But a lot of companies also prefer having an instructor come in live so that you could just watch them and ask questions as they're like going through the software. And so I'm in charge of the live learning programs and marketing those out to more people. I'm also kind of heading something called the Atlassian Creator Program, which is basically just people who make videos about Atlassian products, getting them together, giving them different perks, and managing those creators. And I think what's really cool is that since I'm a content creator myself, it really does apply very, very well towards the job. So yeah, very exciting stuff. I've been enjoying my job a lot.
Nice. So, like breaking more into Atlassian and the overall idea with the tools that they have right now. Of course, like in the B2B scene, I personally do like B2B marketing, so I know that there's lots of different competitors with CRMs and like all different tools that you guys provide. I was also using. At one point I was using Notion. I was actually using Trello also, and right now there's like a tool called Sama where they integrate you with Google
Yeah.
Calendar. There's lots of SaaS tools right everywhere. So how does Atlassian differentiate themselves and make sure like in the future like they're gonna be like one of the core competitors in like big market share?
Yeah, I think what allows Atlassian to have really dominated the market for the most part is one their product Jira. Basically everyone uses Jira at this point. I think around 80% of the Fortune 500 are using Atlassian tools, and a lot of it is spearheaded on Jira, which is basically just a way for teams to stay connected and keep on track of all their tasks. I think another thing that really allows Atlassian to get ahead is what they call the system of work. Basically, what Atlassian did is they really tried to understand every single aspect of a business and what's necessary for people to work together, whether it's the IT team or putting in service requests, communication, you know work tracking. They basically analyzed all these different aspects of work and created products for them, and then all of them are integrated together. And so you can essentially run an entire company using basically almost all Atlassian products and some other add-ons here and there that they've already partnered with. And I think it's really effective in the sense that the goal is we basically just try to become the go-to work platform for a
Mhm.
lot of companies, and we give very tangible results for them so that they feel one that their money is being well spent, and they also want to share that out with other companies.
Nice, nice, nice. So it's actually amazing how you actually are in the office right now. So, we all watch many videos on, working at Amazon, working at Google, working at these big companies. So how was, the overall environment at Atlassian for anyone who's looking to, jump in?
Yeah, I mean it's wonderful. So right now I'm at the balcony area, and this is what it looks like, and it's very beautiful, very pretty, and I'm just on the 13th
Nice,
floor of San Francisco, and then if you go look a little bit in here, you can see kind of the office area, and so
nice.
it's very pretty. On top of that, every single morning, I could they just have a bunch of avocados and bread, eggs, everything that you really need, and so I just eat myself an avocado toast with eggs, and every single morning, and there's yogurt, granola. It's just a completely decked out snack bar, completely decked out drink bar. They have a game room. They have a Nintendo Switch that I play after lunch every single day. They just have so much
Nice.
stuff, and so I love the office. It honestly is everything I've ever wanted it to be and more. And I definitely think that that's one of the perks of working in tech, which is that the office life is very, very good. Um, because the thing is with a SaaS company, their main expenses are their employees, and so their goal is just basically just get the best employees possible. If they have the best employees possible, that really does the job for them. And so, how do you get the best employees? Well, one, you give them really high salaries, and then two, you give them really, really good benefits and
Hmm.
perks.
Yeah.
And the office is one of those. So if you're a software engineer, you're very talented, you probably have a lot of different offers going at you, but then it's the little things that really make that difference, which is how good the environment is, or how good the person benefits are, obviously compensation. But yeah, it's just kind of a way to differentiate it. And so obviously as the employees, I get to basically mooch off the benefits of that, which is that yeah, it's because the employees are the main expense, they really do invest in the employees and our general happiness.
Nice. I think that's one of the things I really like about, these startups and really, heavy
Yeah.
on, the company culture and everything. So just a couple more questions to, wrap this everything up. For someone who's looking to join like a startup like Atlassian, right? How competitive is it actually in the scene right now with multiple different startups? Like let's just say it's same size as Atlassian right now. Like how competitive is like every single role, and do you really need like a strong like tech background as many people foresee to join these companies?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I would say when it comes to like more like very very early stage startups, you could definitely just like reach out to the founders and probably like finesse some type of role. I definitely think it's very feasible. Like if you just go to like Y Combinator and then just like search up every single one and then like
Yeah.
email every single one of them for an internship, you're probably going to get something if you're like pretty smart. When it comes to like very like late stage companies though, so Atlassian is like what 20 years old now and there's like 10,000 employees, and so it's pretty much on the same level as something like I don't know like a comparable like something like Autodesk or like like
Hmm.
close to like Adobe or something like that. A job comes up, you're going to get like 500 to 1,000 people applying for one role, which is kind of rough, and you just got to be competitive, right? So I guess general like advice is just like make sure you have a clean resume, make sure you don't format it too much, and there's honestly like so much to go into when it comes to resume formatting that I can't really go into all of this like within
Hmm.
just a couple of minutes, but yeah,
Yeah.
like I think the best thing to do is honestly just like reach out to people within the company that have already gotten the internships or jobs that you wanted. Try to form that connection. Also, see if you can see their resume as well, because if you can see their resume, you basically have like a clear cut template of what you need to
Yeah.
have your resume to
Example. Yeah.
live up to. Yeah, and then just like work your way in.
Nice. Nice. So wrap everything up. What is the overall timeline? I think I asked on previous podcast guests, Ricky as well. So what's your overall timeline with 5 years, 10 years down the line? Where do you see yourself as, and what do you think your purpose in life is, if any?
Yeah, with purpose in life, I don't know, bro. But then, like when it comes to a timeline, I definitely think, well, what in the next 5 years, I definitely want to continue working at Atlassian, and my goal is to keep on working my way up. I love the tech scene. I want to stay in tech. I definitely think that this is where like I'm best fit. When it comes to like person like startup, like entrepreneurship endeavors, I definitely do want to be also like my own boss one day, and currently building something on the back end that
Nice.
it's very pretty low key, but I want to like continue building that up, and hopefully that could be a second source of income, if not my main source of income. But yeah, honestly, just like keep on going, stay happy. I also don't want to like burn myself out too hard. I think it's really
Hmm.
important to like just enjoy the day by day, and not get so like I guess into the outcome, or like
Yeah.
grinding super hard. I honestly think hard work's overrated, and it's really important to just like work smart and then also just enjoy
Yeah.
yourself. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of like those are my goals. I just want to be happy, be healthy, and make good money.
Awesome. So just again, like wrapping everything up, if there are any specific, I guess, advice for anyone that's listening that you haven't mentioned yet, what would they be?
I'd say I'd say the biggest piece of advice that I have, and I told this to my little brother as well. Like this is like the thing I keep on like stressing
Hmm.
to him, which is plan ahead. Like have a very good idea of what you want to be in 5 years and how you're going to get there. Like I think a lot of people, for example, like they're in high school and they're just like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to like apply for
Hmm.
colleges. But then, do you know what colleges you're going to apply to? Do you know how competitive they are? Do you know their acceptance rates? Do you know,
Yeah.
what extracurriculars and like what stats you need in order to get to that school? And then once you're at that school, what are you trying to get there for? Are you just trying to be like, a random major that is not going to get your job, or are you going to be strategic about it and know exactly what industry or like I guess what field of industries you want to get into? I think it's very important to just plan these things ahead, because even though your plans are going to deviate over time, it is way better to have a plan than deviate from it than to not even have a plan in the first place. So yeah, plan ahead. Like if you're in high school right now, know what like major you want to be in college,
Hmm.
and then if you're in college, know what job you want post grad and how you're going to get there. Like freshman year, you should be knowing what you need to do every single year until like senior year. At least you like have like a timeline to hit, so that once you graduate, you're not like I guess like super like a deer in the headlights basically.
Awesome. Great
Yeah.
advice. Yeah, 100%. It's important to know, like, kind of what you want to pursue, so then you kind of lock into that. And like for some colleges, you don't even need like a full mark in, A levels or, IB to get into that university. So it's better to, you know, kind of have like a target. So Kevin, again, I really appreciate you hopping on the podcast. I think it was really useful. For anyone looking to contact Kevin, link all of his social in the description. Feel free to hit him up on LinkedIn. Just feel free to chat with him. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.